If you're wondering if FF7 Rebirth is for you, you are in the right place. With the release date nearing this coming January 23rd, these top 10 things are everything you need to know, so ultimately you can decide if you want to buy this game or pass on it. Rebirth picks up where Remake left off, taking us from Midgard to the Forgotten Capital. With over 50 hours of main scenario and a lot of cinematic cutscenes, this sequel promises even bigger and better narrative moments. Without spoiling the fun, there will be story changes or expanded events, so even the hardcore fans of the original might be in for some surprises. Of course, the people who already played this game way back on its PlayStation release already knows the story, but many of you are PC players, so you might get good surprises here. The remake featured a more of a linear progression, but Rebirth will now feature an open world experience, and it is the core focus of this installment. One thing is for sure, the world is massive, talking about the real Final Fantasy VII experience. The overworld is divided into regions like the iconic Grasslands, the region of Junon, Zack's home regions Gongaga, and Red 13's alley, the Cosmo Canyon. Each is packed with secrets, side quests, and lore. Expect hidden layers, treasures, and new areas to discover as you explore this sprawling world. The largest time sink in Rebirth is trying to explore the nook and crannies of this world, since you don't want to miss out on the good stuff, especially powerful summons. One thing that will keep you busy is hunting for activation intels or towers. Activating the towers in each region will provide the player with useful information about the nearby points of interest. Aside from your exploration on foot, each character has unique ways of interacting with the environment to reach hidden areas or locations that often hides treasures. Tifa's grappling hook, Red 13's wall climbing, and Aerith's manipulation of livestream open up tons of exploration possibilities and can be used in puzzle solving. As mentioned, it is clear that Square Enix is doubling down on exploration, making the world feel alive and interactive. In addition, get ready to explore the world with classic vehicles like the Buggy, Tiny Bronco, and our staple Chocobos. With the massive scale of the regions, fast travel will likely become your best friend. Whether you're gliding across the grassland or scaling mountains with your Chocobos, transportation adds a nostalgic yet practical layer to exploration. One thing to look out for is the brand new Folio System. This system works like a skill tree or spear grid in Final Fantasy X, but it's much smaller, where nodes can unlock additional stats, new synergy skills, and abilities. As you tackle missions and explore your surroundings, you'll rack up skill points. These can be spent in a character's folio to unlock nodes to progress the tree itself. SP will be scarce at first, but the best part is you can reset and reallocate your points anytime, so you're free to experiment, especially in the early game. Each character will have their own folios, so this is another avenue of players to experiment. Speaking of Synergy's abilities, Synergy Attacks is a brand new feature that let characters team up for flashy combos. For example, Void Shatter is a Synergy skill where separate buffs Cloud's Buster Sword for a massive overhead smash. Synergy skills let you seamlessly integrate them into combos. Each skill offers unique effects, adding customization depth. Then there are synergy abilities, which are team-based limit break style moves. An example would be Double Helix, where Sephiroth and Cloud combine a cinematic flurry of flash sorts attacks, making the action even more satisfying. On top of our customizable synergy skills and abilities, players will have the chance to explore a vast selection of equipment with different effects for further character customization. Not to mention that there will be a lot of materia that you can collect to improve character builds, and each materia has its own unique effects and abilities which can be experimented for hours. Especially if you want to perform optimally in VR battles, where usually the hardest challenges awaits. VR battles will be one of the greatest time sinks in this game and often host great rewards such as exclusive items or unique bosses and challenge fights. If you are getting value out of this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me a lot. Thank you for your support. The combat received a major overhaul as well, but with exciting new layers. Each character retains their unique playstyle just like in the remake, but expect that there will be changes in animations and executions. One thing is for sure, players will still be engaged in high-octane and exciting battles if you're a fan of action RPGs in general. Expect new party members who are playable, and players can have a lot of experimentations in their lineups, especially when diving into synergy abilities that we just talked about. I don't want to burst your bubble, but if you are an FF7 fan and waiting for Sid and Vincent since remake, sadly they are just going to accompany you, just like what Red 13's did in the remake. We will likely be able to control them as fully fledged characters in part 3. This is not a spoiler in any way, as the devs already confirmed this before the game was released, and I don't want you getting your hopes up. Completionists will rejoice with over 100 hours of content from side quests and hidden treasures alone. But Final Fantasy VII was known for its extensive minigames, and Rebirth will surely cover the staple old ones of the original. Meaning if you are into minigames, surely Rebirth does not disappoint in bringing these games to the modern audience. All the iconic minigames from the original Final Fantasy VII, such as the G-Bike and more. Fort Condor will surely be a thing again from the remake, and not to mention there will be new side content such as the Queen's Blade, which is a totally separate card system. A lot of players enjoy the Queen's Blade content as they let them collect cards through various methods and form their own decks, just like in old Final Fantasy titles. So expect the rarest cards are the hardest to find and can serve as an additional source of enjoyment. Not to mention that Fort Condor is already addicting enough and let us collect a lot of battle pieces which have its own depth. But there's a caveat for all of this, as a lot of people see all of this side content overwhelming. The original FF7 had a lot of minigames on it, but expect new ones to play in part 2. So depending on your preference, this is a huge negative or positive thing for sure. One major incentive for playing the PC version is the graphical overhaul it provides. Of course, PlayStation 5 consoles have limited performance compared to PCs, so Square Enix doubled down on improving the lighting because the PS release was criticized for its lighting issues. Of course, better character models and all things graphics improvements. Just look at these character models. But what struck me the most is the expected huge performance bump. To be honest, I always want to play my games in 120 FPS, especially in action games, and good thing we do have access to it in this installment. With this huge performance and graphical upgrades, I believe this will be the ultimate Final Fantasy VII experience, and this is expected. If you want to experience the journey again with much better visuals, this is the absolute right time to do it. I'm also showing the system requirements for Rebirth on the screen right now for you to check it if you can run the game. With side quests, collectibles, and minigames, the content is already looking deep for people who love to get the most out of their money. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth doesn't have a traditional New Game Plus, but you can revisit chapter and switch difficulties anytime to aim for 100% completion with your old gear and progress, just like in the remake. Completionists will easily sink over 150 hours into this adventure, and don't forget that this game is currently on sale with 30% off up to this point of writing with a price of 48 USD. So getting this game now is ideal if you plan to save tons of cash. Don't forget that the bundle of Remake and Rebirth is still available for just 70 USD. By the way, this is not sponsored in any way, I wish I was, but just stating what's out there. This is pretty much a good deal for those who want to start their remake journey and get up to speed before Rebirth comes out, since we still have time. But if you are skeptical and want to wait for the actual PC release reviews, this is completely valid as well. I will be reviewing this game to the full and release guides for it, making sure it will be covered, so make sure to subscribe on the channel. This is not a proper beginner guide or anything, as this is a quick overview of Rebirth's key points to help you decide if you want to dive into it. Let me know if you will be getting this game and your thoughts so far in the comments, and I will see you all on the release. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.